Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about all the books I read from January to March. Now I'm a big reader, and last year I did a whole year in review for all the books that I read throughout the year, and my aunt suggested that I break it into months so it's more digestible. And so I'm gonna every 3 months film a review of all the books I read from those 3 months and how I felt about them. So to keep myself on track, because my goal this year is 30 books, I have a little notebook that I planned 3 books a month to kind of keep me on pace and keep me organized. Obviously, 3 times 12 is 36, so that's 6 extra books. So that gives me a little bit of a grace period to get to 30 if I don't make all 36, but at least I have a goal and I am organized. So I'm not going to go over the books in the order that I read them, but I am going to go over them least, the one I liked the least to the one I liked the most. So of my January reads, the one I liked the least was The Girls in the Snow. And The Girls in the Snow was about a detective named Nikki Hunt, goes back to her hometown. She's an FBI agent, I believe. She goes back to her hometown to solve these crimes of these teenage girls being found. They think it is a serial killer, and it just, the plot had so much potential. In the story, it starts off with a teenage Nikki. Her parents get murdered. Someone's accused of it. So throughout the storyline of her adulthood is this person who got put away for her parents' murder is up for parole, or they were trying to say that he was wrongly convicted of the crime. And simultaneously, these other murders are occurring in her hometown that brings her back. I just felt like it was really lame. The plot had a lot of holes. The ending, like, I don't want to like give a spoiler, but the person who's killing everybody, the person who killed her parents, it's just it was kind of a mess. I was a little taken aback by who the murderer of the teenage girls was, but then it reveals who killed her parents, and it was just a lot of stuff. And then like I didn't think that her reaction to finding out who killed her parents was like you would think she'd be upset, but she was more like, ugh, I knew it. It was, I don't know. It just was kind of ridiculous, and the writing seemed a little immature personal. Now, the book that I would put in second place of my 3 January reads is A Court of Frost and Starlight. I get what people say about this being like a filler book. It is a nice like read if you're into like celebrating, solstices, the winter solstice. If you're into that, this like is a very cozy holiday read, a little bit of a buffer. Obviously, you have to read it to get to the next book. Like, I don't think that you should skip it. There's some sweet moments in here, but it was just like, meh, meh. Now, the book that I would give my first place ranking to for January is The Personal Librarian. I don't have the physical copy of this because I borrowed it from the library, but I normally wouldn't have read this book. This wasn't on my TBR of things that I wanted to read, but it was my book club's choice for the month of January. And it's the true story of J.P. Morgan's Personal Librarian. Now, I read this a long time ago, so I can't quite remember her name. That's probably not a good thing, but I know that she was important. So it's about J.P. Morgan's Personal Librarian. Obviously, J.P. Morgan is a very well-known name. This takes place in the early 1900s to about the 1920s, I would say. And his personal librarian was a woman who was Black but identified as white and was white presenting. And she kind of is talking about her life of like climbing through the rankings of people not knowing that she was an African American woman, so she was kind of hiding behind the fact that she was able to be white passing and how that got her pretty high up. Obviously, she made a ton of money. She was really good at finding art pieces and things for JP Morgan's Personal Library that were like extremely old and rare and very expensive, and she had like just this wit about her and the smarts. And if you are not into history, this probably, I wouldn't recommend it to you. Like, you probably wouldn't like it, but I was a history major in college, if nobody knew that about me. And I find it really interesting. I thought the story was interesting about how she goes about her life, like basically having an identity crisis. Is she's this Black woman. Her father was really high up in the NAACP, and her mother was also a Black woman, but her father really identified with his Black self, and the mother wanted to go about her life as a white passing Black woman because that offered her and her family more protection, and just kind of the identity crisis that the personal librarian had. I wish I could remember her name. I can't for the life of me remember what her name was, but I just thought her story was really interesting, and it kind of taught me something. I like to read at least one nonfiction book a year to learn something, and this is a story that I would have never known about. We never hear about it in school. I've never heard about her before. And it was kind of interesting, her story and the dynamics that race played at the time. And I just thought, I rated it number one because it was interesting to me. The historical aspect, the race relations and the identity crisis she was having was interesting to me. I want to say that her name was like, I don't even remember, but I just thought it was an interesting story. And if you're into history, I suggest you read it, but that was my number one. Okay, hopping into February, my goal for February was to read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, Shady Hollow #1, it's a series, and then Kill for Me, Kill for You. Now, what did I accomplish? I read Part of Your World, I read Shady Hollow, I read Kill for Me, Kill for You, and I also read One True Loves, and I read Cold Clay. So good for me. I accomplished 5 books in the month of February. So let's go over least favorite to favorite. Apparently I didn't rank One True Loves. I'll put it in here. I didn't rank it in my notebook. It must have not stuck. Okay, so I would say out of the 5 books, in 5th place, and people are going to hate me for this, this is not going to be a very popular opinion, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I didn't like it. I thought it was basic. I thought the love story is one that I've heard a million times. Small town farmer guy falls in love with big city girl, and they can't be together because their lives are too different, and there's an age gap. And it's like a love story, true and true. Like, they fall in love. There's a happy ending. Hate to spoil it for you. But like, bore, snore. I'm bored. Now, this is a series. She has 2 other like books that kind of center around the same characters. Am I gonna read them? Yeah, probably. Did I like this one? No, this was 5th place. And I hate to break it to people because people love Abby Jimenez. People love, I think, this book. Not I. What would that put in 4th place? In 4th place, I would rank One True Loves. This was my book club book for the month, so I didn't pick it. It wasn't on my list of reads, but I did enjoy it. It was sweet. It made me feel something because it made me feel really torn. The main character, Emma, falls in love with her high school sweetheart. He gets into like a plane accident and disappears. She thinks he's dead. She falls in love with someone else she knew in high school later on. She gets engaged to this guy, and her husband shows back up. None of this is a spoiler. It's all on the back. And she kind of has to decide, is she going to be with her husband that she married, her high school sweetheart, or her new fiance? And which one of them is meant for her in the place in her life that she is now? It did evoke a lot of feelings in me because I just like would never want to be in this situation. It was painful for me to even read it because I'm such a empathetic person. She was kind of annoying though. This Emma girl, she's kind of annoying. But I did feel for her in her situation of like having to decide between her current fiance and her husband that she thought was dead. Would I recommend this? Yes. Is it one of my favorites that I've ever read? No. The end. Moving on. Okay, rating number 3. I would rate Cold Clay. Now this is the second in the Shady Hollow series. The artwork alone is like gonna keep me reading these books because like gorgeous, love. So Cold Clay, Shady Hollow is a town where all the animals are like people. And like if I was, here's the first book. So there's Shady Hollow, there's Cold Clay, and then I have Mirror Lake, which is the third. I think there's 5, and then there's some novellas, but I only have 3 of them. I've only read the first 2. I would rate Cold Clay lower than Shady Hollow, but let me give you some premise. So Shady Hollow is a town full of animals that dress and act like people. There's no people in the town. The animals are the people. And they have jobs, and it's just, and there is a reporter, Vera Vixen. She is a fox. She solves crimes, and she's a journalist. And these crimes, these murders keep happening in Shady Hollow, and she is the one to solve the crimes. So this, I would rank number 2 out of my February reads. Number 3, very cozy. If you're looking for a hard hitter mystery, these are not it. These are more, have you heard of the word hygge? The Danish word? I think it's Danish. Yeah. Hygge. It's like the feeling of coziness. Something that makes you feel cozy, okay? These, cozy. They are not to help you be a deep thinker. They are not to help you be an intellectual. Do they make you feel cozy? Yes. And if you were to imagine me as a book, animals in a cozy town who drink coffee and solve murders, sign me up. So, in Shady Hollow number 1, this is the first book in the series, Vera Vixen is trying to help solve the murder of 2 animals. Now, this is kind of a spoiler alert, so sorry. The grumpy old swamp toad, I think his name was Otto, gets stabbed in the back, and she's trying to solve that. Meanwhile, the head of the whole, like the richest family in town, who's like kind of the mayor, but also runs a paper mill, is a beaver. I can't remember his name, but he also gets, and she's solving these crimes. This one had, like, did I know who might have done it? I was like kind of onto it, but still surprised me. Good book. Now Vera in Cold Clay is solving another crime, and this is Joe. He owns the coffee shop. He's a great baker, and he's a moose. And everyone's always at this coffee shop. I don't know how they have enough money to be at this coffee shop all the time. But they're getting coffee a lot and eating a lot of baked goods, and like, what a dream, am I right? So Joe is the town coffee shop owner, baker. He has a son named Joe Jr. and really creative. And long time ago, his wife leaves him, okay? And he's been a single dad. And they find a female moose's bones under the Cold Clay apple orchard. And they are putting it all on Joe of like, you said your wife disappeared. Did you really murder her? And Vera's like, not him. He's the coffee shop owner. He can't commit murder. He has to make my coffee. Let me figure out who really did it. And she figures out who really did it. I'm not going to tell you who, but this one was far more obvious than this one. But I just love to read these. The cover alone, the story, like right now, I finished this in February and I like miss my Shady Hollow friends. So I will be reading the whole series just based off cozy feelings alone. Are they like mentally stimulating? No. But sometimes you just need a palate cleanser. What would I rate for number 1 for February? I would rate Kill for Me, Kill for You. I follow, I don't know if you could say like a book talker. I don't have TikTok. But on Instagram, Brady Lockerbie, I think is her name. And I basically treat whatever she says pretty much as the holy grail a lot of the time. That's where I get my book suggestions from, and what I figure out what I want to read is from her. And I got Kill for Me, Kill for You from her. It is about 2 women who have tragedies happen in their lives, and it's basically like both the people that committed the tragedies for them were not put in jail, so they make like a pact of like, you kill the dude that committed mine and I'll kill the dude that committed yours, and the deal kind of falls apart. There is a lot of twists and turns, and it did keep me guessing. It kept me on the edge of my seat, which I really liked. The ending though, I didn't quite love, because it was just kind of like put in there last minute of like as a last minute cliffhanger or a last minute like quick twist. And it's like, I think it would have been better if we just kind of left that part out of it, because it's like all of a sudden this person was introduced and it's like, where did that come from all of a sudden? So I didn't like love that part, but overall, my number 1 read for February. It did keep me guessing. I love a good thriller and I would recommend it. I wouldn't say once again. I don't think I've had any reads this year where I'd be like, this is my top read of the year so far. But I would suggest it. Now, if I go back, probably what I'll do is in December, review all the books that I've read this year and just think, okay, which ones really stick out for me as like my top favorites of this year. That's always how I figure it out, is like which books are still like sticking in my head, because a lot of books are easy to forget. And this might be one that sticks in my head. It might be one that I forget. So overall, between January and February, I read 8 books when my goal was 6. So good for me. Then this is where things really fall off the rails. So in March, my goal was to read The Inmate, The Book of Lost Names, and A Court of Silver Flames. What did I read? Nothing. No. I read something. I just couldn't finish in time. I was reading A Book of Lost Names for over a month. Now, that's not to say that the book wasn't good, because I finished it, but I finished it in April, so I won't review it here. I'll review it in the April, May, June video. But it just took me forever to finish it. And so I didn't get to any other book, because that's the first book I picked up in March. And honestly, I couldn't finish it in time. But I am on spring break right now, so I'm gonna play catch up for the month of April/March and try to get all my April/March reads done in April. So wish me luck. Now, my last little tidbit here that I'll say is, if I really like a book, I tend to keep it as a bookshelf trophy. So what books am I going to be giving away? What books am I going to have as a shelf trophy? Well, let's go over it. Personal Librarian was a library book, so return that. The only reason I'm keeping A Court of Frost and Starlight is because I have the whole series on my bookshelf, so obviously I need that. Girls in the Snow, already gave it away. Bought it, gave it away. Good luck to that person who's reading it. Okay, Part of Your World, I'm giving it away. If you want it, let me know. One True Loves. It was good, but I'm giving it away. If you want it, let me know. Shady Hollow, Cold Clay. I'm keeping for the story. I'm keeping for the coziness. I'm keeping for the gorgeous cover art. Also, my boyfriend has bought me the 3 first books in the series. He got me some of them for Valentine's Day because he likes to listen to the stories. He finds them cozy. I don't read them to him, but I kind of fill him in on what's going on. And he keeps asking me, like, when are you going to read the 3rd one? I'm like, babes, I got a schedule. So I am going to keep these. I didn't keep Kill For Me, Kill For You because that was a library book. The Book of Lost Names, I know I'm not reviewing it, but I did finish it before I'm filming this. It was I'm not going to talk about it. Just know that I'm going to pass it along to the next person. And that is it for my January to March book review. I hope that you can get some reading in. Please drop in the comments any books that you have really enjoyed reading this year so far, and I'm booked up for the rest of the year, but if I have some spare time, I'll add it to my list of things to read. And I just want to know what you guys are reading, and I hope that you can get lost in a book sometime this year, whether it be one book that's a good starter or 30 books like I'm trying to reach. But I hope that you can just settle in with a good book. That's such an escape for me. It's something that I really enjoy. Unfortunately, this last month, the book took me forever, so I haven't really gotten to much. But I hope that you can grab a book, and I hope that you can stay cozy. Bye!